Jack.
Levi.
The Book Club from Hell.
I've got another member of the elect few here who are not only willing to come on Book Club from Hell and read some sort of book and talk about it, but those who are willing to read something like This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib by Quan Millz, which was a lot longer than I thought it was when I suggested this book to Slater, also known as Simpulacra on Substack.
It was like 400 pages or something like that.
This was actually a much longer book than I thought. I just kind of assumed it was short, so I'd left it for the weekend before recording, and then was rudely surprised by how much urban fiction I was going to have to read in 2 days.
It definitely could have been like a 150-page book, but, he dragged out a little bit of the melodrama.
Yeah. Thank you for agreeing to, not just to come on, but to read Quan Millz. This episode is for Rowan, if you're listening. A listener and one of our illustrious Patreon subscribers who just kept asking for a Quan Millz episode. I expect because we're not really the intended audience for Quan Millz's books. I got that distinct feeling as I was reading this.
Yeah. And that's, I guess that's one of the things too, is like, definitely this book was not written for me. But I did very much enjoy it. And I recognize that it's not good fiction. Sorry, I'm looking at my book over there, but I recognize that it's not good fiction, but I did love it. So I'm able to make that distinction, and I have no idea why I love it. So,
yeah, before recording, you were saying that you want to try to use this episode as a way to talk through why you like it, while recognizing that this is just not good.
Right.
But whereas I have the opposite problem in that I maybe liked the first third to half and then started to dislike it more and more. Whereas I've read books for this show like Moon People by Dale Courtney, which was a much worse book than this. But I really liked those. Maybe it's because Moon People was really short. I'm not sure, but I'm trying to work out why I've liked books or novels that are a lot worse than This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib. And why eventually I just got really annoyed with this one.
No, so I will say I think that it is a little too long. It's there's a lot of he does a little bit of flexing in the book, like of him knowing what he's talking about a situation. Like he does kind of like pause, break the fourth wall, and be like, "Hey, I know something about this." That didn't bother me too much. It does take up a little bit of time, and I think a little bit of the middle section is him kind of flexing about how the legal system works in a sort of custody situation, which is a little tedious. I do agree with that. I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, I mean, what did you think about the ending?
Oh, we can get to the ending. Oh, fair. For anyone listening, there'll just be spoilers. Like we're just going to spoil everything. But I want to intro Quan Millz though, because say what you like about his writing, and we will. He's made serious money off writing. In my research of Quan Millz, I think his real name is Colby Durden. He's a guy who lives in the Chicago suburbs with his wife, who first started writing in 2014, but I think in 2017 he lost his job working as a proposal writer at a Chicago law firm and published his first book as the Quan Millz we know and love, I think called Ran Off on the Plug Twice. I'll also say there's a lot of slang in this book that I just didn't understand.
Oh, fair. No. Some of it. I was like, there were points where I was like, okay, like I knew a lot of it, like luckily growing up, like I guess around LA, but some of the Chicago specific stuff, like I think I had to look up one of the rappers, like I think it was Lil Jojo or something like that. There were a couple little things where it was the same thing. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have learned a bunch of new slang though, fortunately, which I will be incorporating into my everyday life. But anyway, Quan Millz since 2017. I think, since 2017, he's published over 70 novels.
Jeez.
So apparently sometimes he'll take just a weekend to write them. And yeah, they're full of typos and the formatting's kind of weird, but he's grinding these things out. They sell. And he apparently, since as of 2023, he'd sold over 150,000 units on Amazon.
Jeez.
Which
so he's
is
making real money. He's making good money.
Yeah, it's self-published. Apparently he's made over $500,000 off this. I mean, take everything with a grain of salt, because I think part of his online persona is being ridiculous.
Sure.
But I mean, still, you look at his Amazon page, and he actually does have, I didn't count them, but pages and pages of books. He probably does have over 70 on there.
Jeez.
This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib has 1,185 ratings on Amazon.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what proportion of people who read a book will rate it, but you'd assume it's pretty small. So he's sold a lot of books. And so no matter what we say about him, he's found his niche.
Yeah, no kidding. I was kind of thinking that, like, hey, like, Substackers, don't give up your Substack, don't give up your rich writer dreams, because hey, man, Quan Millz did it.
Yeah.
I think he's
I also
kind of
find.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No. I like to think of him as like an Andy Kaufman type, where he's actually just a genius, and we're all the butt of the joke. But
yeah, we're all catching up. The other thing I found really interesting too, in basically all the discussion around him, including what he says in interviews, is the emphasis on book titles and the covers. Mm-hmm. So, of course, a book title is important. A book's cover is important. But it seems almost all the talk about him and by him is just about coming up with ridiculous book names. Huh. And he said something about the first time one of his books took off was because he put a white woman on the cover, and he's like, yeah, in urban fiction, you've got women on the cover all the time, but not white women. And I did that. That was my innovation. And so it's just this totally alien world to me, where what you've got to do is come up with a completely ridiculous book title. And there are some fantastic ones. I mean, I'm looking at his Amazon page right now. You've got Old THOT Next Door. It's a book club from hell, house style. N-bombs I'll just call fella, because there are a lot of gamer words in this book. This fella got a small dick. I think This Fella Got a Small Dick also has a sequel or two. Pastors Eat Pwussy Too. My Baby Mama is a Loser. CNA Thoughts. My Psycho Baby Daddy. Oh, this is a good one. Pregnant by My Mother's Gay Husband. Tax Season Thoughts. Gutter Chicks Do Gutter Things. Project Hoe Dreams Episode 2. He's got a bit of the Chuck Tingle to him. He doesn't go full Tingle in terms of the completely absurd names for his books, but he's got an element of that. And I think, actually, now that I say it out loud, that might be one of the reasons why I enjoyed this book less, because I was expecting something a lot sillier based on the name. And there's silliness. There's also a lot of child abuse.
Yeah.
And just sexual violence in this book, which I did not see coming.
No, honestly, I didn't either. There in general, there was a lot of violence in the just general violence in the book too. That was a little, for me, it wasn't off-putting, but it was a little, it was a little surprising. I definitely wasn't, especially towards the end. I mean, I'm not trying to skip ahead, but especially towards the end, where the violence towards Fred Quisha, as it were, was a little intense, and it felt a little undeserved at points. So, it was. Yeah,
you get surprised by some very, very intense, very intense things right next to just complete silliness. And maybe that's just Quan Millz' style, and people are wanting this because this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib isn't even, maybe it's the biggest seller, I'm not sure, but it doesn't have the greatest number of ratings on Amazon. That's Old THOT Next Door has almost 1,500 ratings. So that people like this stuff.
So I did see Old THOT Next Door. So I was when you approached me about this, I did kind of look up and try to anticipate what you might have wanted to read, and that was the one that did come up the most in general. And yeah, that's a his cover design is
the cover design for Old THOT Next Door is pretty magnificent, but also for this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib. That's also good cover design. It's this guy with, looks like he's got grills on, just like really in an extremely theatrical way, like clutching his head while some woman smirks behind him in a filthy apartment.
And the woman is not featured in that story, in that book at all. I don't know who that woman is supposed to be.
Yeah, she does not match Fred Quish's description.
Not at all. No, and I love the graphic design on the cover as well. The roach that's sort of like, or how her foot like kind of just is not on anything, but she's supposed to be obviously leaning against something. And
yeah,
roaches are defying laws of gravity and stuff.
There's some very, very powerful graphic design at work here. I'm also, now that I've zoomed in, the table in it is, it's like a marble or a faux marble slab on top of a milk crate, except it's just like really, really shittily pasted on top of each other. Like these objects don't seem to intersect in Euclidean space.
Well, maybe there's an argument that we can make that this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib is actually a Lovecraftian cosmic horror.
Yeah, I did get excited because I thought there were sequels to this. Not that I think I physically could read more sequels, but it turns out this guy is just he's just out to maximize how much money he gets, which I do respect when someone is just that upfront about it, because you've got this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib, the full standalone. He calls them standalone novels, but then he'll also sell it to you in 3 parts. And I'm pretty sure each part just costs the same as an ebook as the full thing. And I just admire someone being that crass. And again, because his online persona completely fits it. He's got some
good for him.
Most of his videos are on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, so I haven't seen them. But the few that are floating around on YouTube, he's just kind of funny. So I do have a lot of respect for what he's done, just in terms of personal branding. One other interesting thing is he just acknowledges that with some of his novels he used a ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. And he was for one of them. He said, "Yeah, I got it done really quickly in like a weekend, made $10,000 off it." So again, he's approaching this as he's just trying to churn out units. It wouldn't surprise me now if he were to be using an LLM.
Oh, well, did he use
this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib? I would be surprised if this were done with ChatGPT or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think ChatGPT could quite get this prose, which I want to talk about. He's got quite a weird style. I think people's eyes tend to become vengeful slits.
Lots of slits.
That particular phrase was in his head when he was writing this. Just everyone's got vengeful slits instead of eyes.
Well, also things were perpetually somewhat or
yeah.
Very. He wasn't certain about too many things happening.
Yeah. There are a few ticks he has in writing that I actually did enjoy, because it's that type of bad writing that is it's bad in a way that's very, very enjoyable, because you'll have vengeful slits, you'll have perpetually somewhat, he had a lot of very odd descriptions of sunrises and sunsets over Chicago.
That's true. Like he went kind of hard on them though. I thought that they were.
Yeah, he really committed.
Yeah, he was really into the beauty of a Chicago sunrise / sunset. And then,
I also really... Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, just that they never set the mood for the scene. It was always like, oh, okay, you've described that, and now we're on to something else entirely.
Yeah, it always felt really disjointed. I do like, too, how he'd just drift between writing in a fairly temperate, or just a fairly conventional way, and then there'd be a few pages where he would be spelling things phonetically as, like... a black guy would say it.
Yes, no, that is true.
I was trying to work out, okay, when, if he's following Fred Quisha, is he going to be writing in just hamming it up more to get you in the mood? But no, there's just no link between the particular prose style and anything happening that it's describing. He just drifts between them.
He's truly the free man. Like,
yeah.
He has no rules. No,
the thing is, though, it's like, no matter what I say about him, he is outselling my book by just an unreal amount with this one book, let alone his 70 plus other books.
No, he's a machine.
He's really found something that works.
And I think, like, I guess, because I love it too, because I know the podcast is at least somewhat sympathetic to capitalism, and I think I am as well. But I think the thing that's really admirable is that he has sort of made a factory of himself. And even if he is using, do you know if he used a ghostwriter for this one?
I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if a ghostwriter.
I feel like.
I mean, maybe if you gave him a very specific brief, it's I want vengeful slits, I want Chicago sunrises that just don't connect with the rest of the scene.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Or he could have just hired a really terrible ghostwriter too.
Or hired a ghostwriter and then just gone over the draft and fucked it up a bit. Like, yeah. I'm gonna Quans it.
That sounds like something I would do, honestly. But no, I don't remember what I was going to say. It was something relative to his general style. Yeah, I forgot. But I did find it quite entertaining also, because it was sort of one of those things where when you turned the page, you never really knew what you were going to get. Because like you said, the Fred Quisha stuff did seem like it was going to be more hammed up, but that was never really followed through.
And then it got really dark. Way darker than I thought it would.
And I believe in, as far as story structure goes, your villains should pay for their crimes, but I mean, sometimes that's a little that was a little bit much, I thought.
Yeah, it was really 0 to 100 in under a second.
Yeah, I think that was so. Yeah, she was obviously the villain. So I was trying to figure out who the villain was throughout the whole story. And obviously, Fred Quisha was one of the villains. But it seemed like there was going to be something worse, or there had to be something worse, or it would just grow boring. And I do think that with oh God, I'm going to call her Fred. Fred's mother, introducing her as the sort of Palpatine to Fred's, Darth Vader or whatever, kind of worked at the end, or towards the end. But I think that, like, yeah, they didn't need to finish her off like that.
No, she didn't need that.
That was really dark.
Yeah. So, okay. Actually, one thing I want to talk about before we talk about our expectations going into this book is just Quan Millz online. So, like I said, he's on TikTok a lot, and people will talk about his books, particularly about just the ridiculous names and the ridiculous book covers on social media. But there was a period where... So he now has shown his face. But there was a period when he was... he's still pseudonymous, but he was pseudonymous, didn't show his face. And so people started to speculate that he was a white guy writing these books to make fun of black people, because the books are ridiculous. And then there was a change.org petition to request that Amazon delist his titles for hate speech against black women.
Wait, really?
And I wonder too, because at the start of this book, there's a disclaimer where he's like, I don't hate black women. This is all satirical. Having read it, I don't know how satiric. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know what
maybe it's a different. There's a different feel for satire, but I didn't interpret it as particularly satirical. Also, because the men in this don't come off particularly well either. Like there are a lot of really horrible men. There are a lot of just unpleasant people being unpleasant to each other, and then occasional characters who are really good. And because Quan Millz seems to be a firm believer in physiognomy, also thin and attractive.
Yes.
And all of the bad ones are just fat and short. Just
fat and ugly and short.
Yeah. Which I do like. That was a part of the book that I really appreciated. And I started to expect whenever he introduced a character invariably noted their race, which celebrity they looked like, their height and their weight, and just from that immediately I knew, okay, this is going to be a good character, this is going to be a bad one.
Right, I remember when in the very beginning, or I don't know, maybe it's like 3 chapters in, when they announce, or when he introduces Deontay and Marvin when they're going in to hang out with Fred Quisha, and there was a little bit of that like, I feel like in the beginning he couldn't really decide if Deontay was going to be a bad guy or not.
Yeah, that's right.
He was like, he's kind of fat, but he's not bad looking, but he's kind of fat.
Yeah. And then as it went on, I don't think he ever described Deontay again, so unfortunately we can't see his physiognomic degradation.
Right.
As his moral character becomes evident.
Definitely.
Later in the book he more firmly commits to just saying, like, yeah, this character's fat, ugly, she was never good looking.
He also, like, that was the other thing too, is like his fourth wall breaks. I might have already said that already, but his fourth wall breaks, so he's like, oh yeah, this person is a moron, or this person's an idiot, or whatever. He would always stop to remind you, like, oh, you don't like this character. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah. So how did you feel going into this book?
That's a great question. I was mostly just excited to pick up something I hadn't really heard of before, that I knew was, just by the titles alone, that was going to be a little bit ridiculous. I went in pretty open-minded. That's generally how I tend to approach most fiction in general, though. So, like, I didn't have. I'm so sorry. I got to turn that off. I didn't have any expectations, honestly. So I think that's partly why I was kind of delighted by it. Despite recognizing that, yes, I do recognize that it is bad, but I do love it. So yeah, I don't know. I went in completely like a newborn.
I should have done that. I was really expecting this is going to be like a Chuck Tingle kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Again, because he's got the ridiculous titles, he's got the ridiculous covers. I was expecting it to be much kookier. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of sex in this. That aspect was maybe not as much as a tingler, but there was a lot of sex.
It was the book. So, and that was the thing too, is he approached sex really interestingly, because I feel like he wanted us, because it was always with Fred Quisha for the most part, or Deontay. I think those are the two that were getting laid the most in the book. But I'm so sorry. I thought
that's all right.
Let me grab that real quick.
I feel like with the sex in this book, he was writing it for like men and women, gay and straight. It's basically no matter what you're into, it's only straight. But it's like if you're into guys or girls, you're going to enjoy it, because he spent a lot of time just describing like both people involved.
Yeah.
And like, at least when I was reading that, I thought, he's probably actually intentionally doing this to just maximize the market sake, like the addressable market for this book.
That's a good.
Maybe I'm ascribing to him too much forethought, but I don't think so, because he's just making this work too well. I really think it's like when he would just like offer a real, like a good description of some guy's huge dick.
Yeah.
And then go on to something that like a straight guy would probably find interesting.
True.
I thought, he's probably actually trying to capture as many people as possible with this.
Honestly, again, smart move, man. Just like if your market is everybody you can get your hands on, then good on you, man. Make that money.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting too, because like I know the dick size of every guy who had sex in this book.
Oh yeah, everyone is gigantic.
And I know everything about every labia that was addressed.
Yeah,
but I do think also that like one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting about his sections with Fred, speaking with Fred, was he seemed like he was trying to make those sections kind of disgusting and kind of like unpleasant. But I felt like he enjoyed writing it too much. Do you know what I mean? Like he just make a disgusting sex scene. He also wanted to have a good time while writing it too.
Yeah. I mean, we may as well talk about the book itself.
Fair.
So you've got your characters. I think summing up the entire plot is both easy and difficult. So it's easy in that there is a central plot line, which is not particularly complicated, but it becomes more complicated if you try to be a bit more comprehensive, because one of the aspects of this book that makes me suspect that it was just written straight through and unedited was that it feels more like just a collection of events rather than a coherent story. And that includes, there are a bunch of just things that happen that cause a great deal of consternation for a few pages, and then are either unacknowledged later or just offhand, say, mentioned for a sentence or two much later in the book. It was like that thing with Quimani, one of Fred Quisha's sons.
Oh, who got the girl
impregnated his babysitter.
Yeah.
I forget her name, but it had a lot of Q's and Z's in it as well.
I don't remember her name either.
It was like a sci-fi name.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're not wrong.
and that was like a big thing for a while, and then it is just it doesn't matter anymore. I think it was just mentioned offhand that she got an abortion later in the book.
I think that's the last, like when he's doing just like, and because the last chapter is him just saying like this, or no, it's before the last chapter. But there's a point where he's just saying this happened to this person, this happened to this person. Yeah, it was super offhand. It didn't matter.
It felt like when you finish an RPG and they've got at the end of the game like that the series of slides to describe the decisions you made and the outcomes. Yeah. That's what the last chapter felt like.
Him just punishing himself for writing these characters.
Yeah, but the central plot point is you've got Austin, who's a 35-year-old guy in prison for, I think he was drug dealing and selling illegal guns.
Yeah.
He's in prison. He'd had a child, Maya, who's 6, with Fred Quisha, who I think she's a similar age. And Fred Quisha has 3 children to 3 different men. And she really likes Quimani and Zymia, her sons, and hates Maya. And it's just that Maya is where all the child abuse comes in. Like you just have a 6-year-old getting the shit kicked out of her in several scenes of this book, and then dying.
Yeah. No, they and he brings back the title of his book, I think, well enough for what it is. But
he brings it up so many times as well.
Yeah, the roaches have personalities. They have they have full on.
That's why I was thinking this book was going to be so much sillier than it turned out to be, because at least initially, it's probably the funniest part of the book is right at the start, where you've got the disclaimer of I don't hate black women. This is all satire. And then just straight away, the first paragraph of the first chapter is just the most ridiculous depiction of Fred Quisha losing her mind in her filthy apartment.
He's a little cruel to that character.
Yeah, but then why I thought it'd be ridiculous is because the roaches, she's in her disgusting apartment and there are cockroaches everywhere, and they've all got personalities and things. And I was expecting him to lean into that silliness more, but that really fell off.
Yeah. Well, I think, and honestly, some of the places where he did lean into it, I kind of like it. I liked it in like a sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It just felt like, so it's maybe a little mean-spirited, but like the way he undercuts Maya's death, like retrospectively by having it be a roach that has a personality that bites her face and gives her.
Oh, there was the triple OG roach that was
triple OG.
unhappy that she didn't have food for it.
Right, like it feels a little mean spirited, or okay, it's either it's it was just dumb, like he just made a mistake and shouldn't have written it like that, or it was intentionally mean spirited, and then maybe you could argue that that's where the satire thing that he's been talking about comes in, is like those parts where he uses the roaches to be mean, like because in the beginning too he catches the roaches catch Fred Quisha in the act in the throes of a fling of sorts, don't they? Isn't it like a Colosseum sort of viewing of it where they're all just disgusted?
Yeah, where she's having sex with two men in exchange for drugs.
Right. She's a winner. She's a real winner. But
including like quite intense descriptions of her pubic hair.
Oh yeah, and it changed day to day, which was nice too. I thought it was funny that like on some days it was like gently shaven or loosely shaven or whatever, and then the next day it was like full bush and
yeah. And he'd offer a racial analysis for her pubic hair as well. He'd say things like, she's got a bit of white in her, but you couldn't tell from her pubic hairs. Those were just 100% black-looking pubic hairs.
Yeah, I'd like to... I think we should do a deep dive on that subject specifically with this book. Yeah, he was really into describing pubic hair.
Yeah, so you've got that set up, and then it's basically, so yeah, Austin is getting out of prison soon, and he wants to see Maya and spend time with her, and he's decided he's gonna turn his life around and go to university. He wants to get into construction and real estate, I think, which are two parts of the world which are well known for not including any element of crime. Exactly the place you'd want to go if you wanted to be on the straight and narrow. And a large, I think the central, like the load-bearing plot of this book is Austin, his mum, Mrs. Watkins, and Jonah, Austin's brother, trying to get custody of Maya from Fred Quisha, and Evelyn, who's Fred Quisha's mum, who starts off, and again, this is why I think the book was just written once through, and that this is a first draft, because Evelyn starts off not nice, but not as terrible as she was at the end of the book. Yeah. No, you can see him thinking through his characters as he's writing, because Evelyn's getting worse and worse and worse. Fred Quisha's sort of redeemed, but then is killed in a really, really offhand way. I was expecting more redemption for Fred Quisha, especially because this is straight didactic fiction.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave Herod of Tukey's Mag, the didactic fiction's greatest defender, and therefore the greatest defender of this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib by Quan Millz.
I think he should definitely platform this book.
Yeah. I was expecting, because of the very, very overt Christian messages of this book, that there'd be some sort of redemption, but not. Fred Quisha just gets killed. Okay, what was even so? I was saying, Fred Quisha, how she gets killed. It looks like she's going to. Okay, no, I'll contextualize this a bit. In short, there's a lot of movement and minimal displacement in the plot, where Maya is going back and forth between the different parts of her family. Eventually, she's with Mrs. Watkins, Austin's mum, who's really nice and good-looking and a Christian.
Yes.
And she eventually goes to Evelyn's place, and Evelyn is bad-looking, unpleasant, not a Christian. Mm-hmm. And at Evelyn's place, because Evelyn is trying to make Maya like her so that she will get custody of Maya and can start getting benefits for having custody of Maya. And that's really where Evelyn started becoming horrible. It seemed like that was the point at which Quan thought, no, I don't like this character. I'm going to make her just terrible. And she was not very nice, but then just all of a sudden when she decided that she was going to get Maya and take her from Fred Quisha, who had been using Maya to get government benefits herself, that was when she got awful. But anyway, so that happens. Then Maya is bitten by a cockroach at Evelyn's place. Mm-hmm. And from it, so there are medical parts which don't really make sense. She alternates between having bacterial and viral meningitis, which are very different in etiology, in management, in prognosis. But I just assume it's bacterial because it was so much more severe. So she got that. She got some sort of infectious meningitis from a cockroach bite.
Yeah, I hit her with
and dies. And the death is pretty drawn out. And through a series of machinations, including where Austin kills someone in prison.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, that's another one of those events that it just happens. Like because we're trying to straighten out the plot for people in saying this. I keep remembering just events that happen in the. Yeah, there's that Nation of Islam subplot.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was gonna be bigger because I don't know if he's a Christian, but Quan Millz is certainly very sympathetic to Christianity, and all the good characters are Christians.
Yes.
I thought there'd be more tension there because Austin is losing his faith in Jesus and is becoming more interested in the Nation of Islam, and he's got this Nation of Islam friend who then gets assassinated, or just gets killed off by a corrupt prison guard, and Austin fights him off and kills him. And then Nation of Islam is not mentioned again.
No.
Which I was kind of interested in. I thought that'd be an interesting subplot.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool moment of tension also between him and his mother, where, if you're trying to be, if Millz was a little bit more of a hippie, he could say, him coming home to his mother or whatever, they could find similarities or something, you know what I mean, to make it work in a household. But yeah, no, it really just went nowhere. The only thing...
It just happened.
It just happened. And the only thing that came out of that was, I think they commuted his sentence because he had done a good act. Also.
Does it work like that?
What was that?
Does it work like that? If you're in prison and a bad guy tries to kill you, but you because also the description's pretty graphic when he just slits the guy's throat, and then he gets shot.
Yeah, with rat shot or something like that.
Rat shot, yeah. Do they just reduce your sentence? Like, nah, good one, mate. You
know what, you were right.
Yeah, you demonstrate. It's a trial of strength, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
If he were guilty, he would have died. But because he overcame his assailant, Austin is in the right.
I think he must have just put on a good show or something, because they had to have cameras, and they were just like, you know what?
I really hope the legal system in Chicago works like that.
I kind of do too, frankly. I don't. I know in California it's not like that.
That's a shame.
It should be.
It should. Yeah. So where were we in? Oh yeah, that's how. And then Maya gets sick.
Yeah.
And dies, and yeah, Austin's out of prison and he sees it. And I was really expecting Maya to recover because there was so much talk of miracles and praying for her, and just everyone's praying for her.
It's like 10 pages of prayers.
Yeah, there's a lot of prayer out of nowhere. Again, why I think this is the first draft. And Quan was thinking of going in that direction, and he was beginning to commit, and then he swerved. First he was like, there's an experimental stem cell therapy.
Yeah.
Because they kept saying things like Maya has 80% brain damage, which I don't really know what that means, but I'm assuming it's really bad.
I don't know.
I thought maybe, okay, that's going to be the earthly mechanism by which the miracle occurs, but no, she just died.
Yeah, it's totally undignified too. She just dies off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's just off screen. You're just told in a new chapter, by the way.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe what happened.
Well, he does do that too. That's the thing too, is like he, in parentheses, he always puts, oh yeah, by the way, this person didn't have a shirt on, so he might as well have done that with Maya as well. I actually liked that part only because I thought it was going to develop differently is why I liked it, I think. Because
it was unexpected.
It was unexpected. It's a little nihilistic, and you kind of expect Austin to have a little bit more of a trial with his faith, which I thought was going to be interesting to see. But yeah, no, I mean, it didn't turn into that really. Things just sort of fall into place for him after he gets out of prison, which is interesting. Because I know that there's at one point he's really mad at Fred Quisha, and he's going to go like assassinate her, and that's when everything terrible happens to her. But he doesn't perpetuate it. But yeah, no, he never really got his struggle with his faith. Like, I don't know, it just never felt really addressed. It was like, here's a problem that he has, and also we're not going to deal with that until it's already solved, you know?
Yeah, there are so many different... It just feels like there are a bunch of different plot points jostling with each other, and they're all 70-80% of the way there, and just none of them are played out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's the trial of his faith. The faith thing, it's both extremely in your face. There's a pages-long sermon. Really in your face, but it also feels sort of disconnected from the world.
Yeah.
Because it just seems to switch on and off like a light switch for various characters, and you don't really see them struggle with it. So you're missing that internality, but then there are other aspects of a character's internal state that he really belabors to you. Like Austin sees when he's in prison, one of his fellow inmates finds out that his daughter's been killed. And breaks down, is like howling and crying. But then Quan Millz will just tell you, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's upset.
Yeah.
he'll just say to you things that if you're just a semi-competent human being, you can infer that this guy's going to be pretty upset that his daughter got shot dead.
I was actually just talking to my wife about that scene, about how he totally undercuts it. Because like I was truly moved by it when that scene first started. I was like, wow, okay, this obviously, this is a really serious thing. And then it was like, this guy's bummed out, isn't he? And then he does it a few times. I think he does it. I think he does it at the end too, where he's like, we're at, same thing when Fred Quisha gets her undeserved desserts. He's like, and he says basically like, yeah, and it was a really serious sequence of events or something like that. And it's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, which resulted in a double murder.
I wasn't sure.
I think the best case of this is still when that guy in prison finds out that his daughter got killed, because not only does Quan Millz tell you, yeah, he's upset, but then Austin, after Quan breaks the fourth wall and tells you what's going on, Austin uses his, I think it's something like his street intuition to work out that this guy's having a bad time. It's like I gotta use my. This is a special ability that you learn if you grow up on the streets of Chicago to work out that if someone's daughter is violently murdered. I mean, I guess murder's always going to be kind of violent. This is violently killed. You're going to respond to that negatively. That was one of the bits of the book I liked, because it felt more like it was being written by someone who was a bit deranged, which is what I really enjoyed in things like Moon People or The Eye of Argon. Mm-hmm. But Quan would just like veer between that kind of kookiness, which I really like, and then just long stretches of it being kind of dry.
Mm-hmm. There is.
I feel like this book would be a book that I'd genuinely really enjoy if he cut it in half or even less, if it were like 40% the length it is, but really homed in on a lot of the whiplash.
No, I totally get that, because the moments where it's dry are when it's coherent, you know?
Yeah, and it's just kind of boring.
Yeah,
because I feel like he's not a strong enough writer to make the coherent bits good,
right?
But he's a kooky enough writer that the completely ridiculous bits are kind of fun.
Yes. I do love that there is like this like weird strain of sociopathy that he has, like again, sort of with the describing, with the breaking the fourth wall and telling people, you know, now's the time to clap or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just truly disconnected from the human experience. And I feel like a lot of this book was his attempt to explore what it might be like to be a person, and not like.
If Quan Millz is he's an alien who's come down to Earth, and he's almost all the way there when it comes to simulating a human being, but not quite. And it's just an alien that happened to land in a bad bit of Chicago.
Right. That's a story I'd read.
He's very impressed with his knowledge of the racial geography of Chicago, which I know nothing of. I mean, maybe he's just completely making things up when he says, yeah, this part of the city is where the Mexicans live. Mm-hmm. I have no clue. Or this particular part of Chicago is really, really dangerous. Mm-hmm. I think Fred Quisha lives in Englewood.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, I could have looked. I mean, I'm sure there's a subreddit just dedicated to watching people shoot each other in these bits of Chicago, something really ghoulish. So I could have done research there, but I didn't feel like exposing myself to that.
Yeah. I think you don't need to do that.
Yeah. So I'll just assume he got all of this right, and I've been educated.
Yeah, but in general too, he's really, really interested in educating his readership too. Like he's really proud of the things that he knows. Like you said, the general racial geography of Chicago, but also like, you know, when he knows something about law or about, you know, whatever, about child services, he makes sure that we know that
you're gonna hear it.
We're getting a good little education. Which honestly, I thought that was fun too, because whether or not he's lying to me, he at least says it with conviction. So
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, and then there's the end of the book. I agree. It's where it kind of falls apart. I forget whether you said that while we were recording or before we started recording, but at some stage you noted that it's at the end. It kind of falls to pieces, both because the silliness is still kind of present, but the book gets so much darker. And it's out of nowhere. You don't really see it coming.
Yeah.
It just feels kind of dirty, but not in a good way. It feels a bit childish, like an adolescent telling dead baby jokes or something. Someone just trying to say something really unpleasant to get a bit of a rise out of you. I don't know if that was his intention. Again, because it has such first draft energy, this is the sort of thing that he might have just chucked in there, and if he'd done revisions, he might have smoothed it out or got you anticipating it. Because in fairly quick succession, so Fred Quisha is going to lose her house, and so Nate Garrison, I think, who owns the apartment block, basically just starts raping her and Nate says, this is how you're going to pay for it, and then starts bringing other men in and is like, you're going to have sex with him, and if you don't, you're going to lose your apartment. And so that, and then there's a long scene of Nate raping her, then beating her with a belt.
Yeah.
And it's just out of nowhere. Like, I just didn't anticipate that it would get that intense that quickly.
I want to say,
and it's not. I don't have a problem with depicting horrible things in literature. It's just when it's so sudden. It just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's such intense whiplash.
The whole sequence it felt like it came from a different book. But I want to say, like, if I'm giving Quan Millz, his dues or whatever, I do think that he was trying to prepare for that scene with the sequence where she was like beating up her kids, which was also just depicted just truly horribly. Like that whole sequence was kind of like not hard to read, but a little hard to read. And then I think he was trying to mirror that. If I think he is a genius, which I wonder. I think he was trying to mirror that, but I agree. Again, I think he went. That was a little not. I'm not going to say too far, but it was a little jarring. And also, Nate wasn't he a different person in the beginning? Wasn't he like a Jewish man or something in the beginning of the book? Or did I totally read that wrong? I thought he was like a white guy.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him because there were a few times when I'm pretty sure he got names switched around.
Oh yeah, he called Jonah Austin a dozen times.
yeah, and I think Deontay. There's just another character who basically exists just to complicate things. Anyway, Deontay, I think, became a few different people at various points. Yeah, because someone occupying, basically having all the characteristics of Deontay would just be called someone else. Yeah, and then would become Deontay again in the next scene. So yeah. I didn't notice what you're saying about Nate, but it sounds completely plausible that he just called him something different.
For whatever reason, I just remember when Nate reappeared, I was like, I thought this was like an old Jewish white guy or something like that. But that might have also just been me.
It might make sense too, because I noticed that basically all the white people in the book are bad.
Yes.
it's another aspect of physiognomy. It's just everyone's race will be noted.
True.
And there was the character of Victoria Gonzalez. I thought was ambiguous whether she was good or bad. But then you find out that she's half black, and then she becomes a really good character.
She's the hero.
She's racially redeemed.
That was a weird thing that she just threw out too. Like she was in the middle of a conversation with somebody, and she just goes like at the end of it, and she's like, "And by the way, I'm half black." And then he tried to justify it by saying like, "Oh, I don't even remember the full conversation, but it was like that meant that she knew something or something like that." And it was just funny.
It was she was in an argument. So I think she works for Child Protective Services, and she was in an argument with someone else in Child Protective Services who was black. It was like obviously black, and therefore had the moral high ground.
Yeah.
And then Victoria Gonzalez said, my mum's black or something.
Yeah.
And the person whom she was talking to was like, "Ooh, I don't have a response to that. Like I'm gonna have to respect your mixed race heritage." That was such a striking aspect of the book, where I've read a few books for this podcast actually where characters are basically just color coded in terms of how good they are. So this is it's just another entry into a long and proud tradition of you actually just being able to tell straight away whether a character is going to be good or bad.
True. Of hidden in plain sight prejudices and such.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the way Fred Quisha died was, like we said, especially because of the Christian, not even undercurrent, it's overcurrent. I thought that was going to happen. Evelyn is redeemed. Evelyn survives and loses weight and starts going to church. And
she gets that on.
I love that the two things go together just so logically in this book. It makes perfect sense that not only does she go to church, but she loses weight at the same time, becomes a much better person.
Jesus is a swole, man.
Yeah. But the whole thing about, say, Fred Quisha, when she sees Maya unconscious in bed, in a hospital bed, stops being a horrible mother and says, I'm going to change. I'm going to do everything I can do to be the best mother possible. I thought both Maya was going to wake up as an act of God because everyone was praying for her, and that Fred Quisha would be redeemed. But no, Fred Quisha. Okay, so Deontay is another character who was the boyfriend of Katina, who's an ICU nurse at the hospital where Maya was, who breaks up with Deontay because Deontay's sleeping around, because all the men in this book seem to have like a succession of women. and then there's that whole subplot about Deontay threatening, like just showing up at her job and pointing a gun at her, then running away. And then Katina gets shot, and you think it's Deontay, but actually it was one of Deontay's exes or something who just appears for the purpose of shooting Katina.
There's no mention of her before.
Yeah. She just appears. She calls Deontay and is like, by the way, I just shot Katina to demonstrate to you how deeply I feel for you. That was unexpected. It felt like a slightly unearned plot twist.
Yeah.
It was like, no, it wasn't the established character who did this, who was constantly pointing a gun at Katina. It was just some new character I've just introduced here. Anyway, Katina's fine and ends up getting together with Austin at the end of the book. But what was that? Oh, I was explaining the presence of Deontay.
Yeah.
Anyway, where did he meet Fred Quisha? Was he the drug dealer?
I think.
Or was he the one she met in a club?
No, that's Trell, something like that. Was the club?
Oh, yeah.
Deontay was the guy at the very beginning with Marvin, I think.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So she's staying at. Is she staying at Deontay's place, or is Deontay at her place? No, Deontay's at her place.
Yeah.
And a hit has been put out on Deontay because people think he shot Katina, and Katina is related to a triple OG. I'm assuming a triple OG is a very, very dangerous person.
I thought it was a cockroach in the.
Well, that's why I'm thinking, because there was a dangerous cockroach, right?
Yes.
You had a triple OG cockroach who bit Maya and killed her, and you have a triple OG human who either shot Deontay himself, Deontay and Fred Quisha, because Deontay was in Fred Quisha's apartment.
Right.
Shot her himself, or got someone else to do it.
I think it was two just random hitmen. I don't think it was him specifically, because I remember they pay off the tweaker or something like that. And yeah, it's two guys. And I don't think he's one of them. I don't think
and that happened when Austin, who was really angry about Maya's death and blamed Fred Quisha, was going to kill Fred Quisha himself. But ran into the two guys who were also there to kill her, and they scared him off. Like they showed him I think one of them pulled a Desert Eagle.
Yeah. It was
out of his waist. Like, just the stupidest pistol anyone could possibly own.
Yeah, no, definitely dramatic.
Yeah, and. Yeah, it's another aspect of this book. I appreciate books if they are a collection of absurd coincidences. If it feels clear that the author is leaning into the ridiculousness of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas more in this book, it more just felt like first draft syndrome, where you're just trying stuff out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It felt a lot like he was trying to escape a lot of the ridiculousness, and I wonder if that's also part of why he leaned into the sort of extreme violence at the end, is sort of like a bid to be taken seriously. It just didn't work. So. Yeah,
it felt very jarring. I think, you said jarring. I think that basically is why I really bounced off the grittier aspects of this book, because they felt so jarring. They did not feel like they fitted in with the rest of the book.
No, it did.
Because most of the book is pretty goofy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of. A lot of the book has that silly aspect to it, except for the sort of boring parts in the middle where Maya's just watching cartoons and whatnot and feeling, and everybody's kind of feeling bad for her. But yeah, no, it does lose its goof. It does lose its goofiness, and On one hand, so okay, as I was reading this book, I was trying to analyze it from like various different via various different like other books, and so I was kind of thinking like obviously the Maya story is kind of shadows, or not shadows, but kind of reflects a little bit of like a Cinderella story that just doesn't come to completion, I guess. But I was thinking of like the way that he did the ending was very kind of like the ending of Romeo and Juliet, where it's like you have that moment where which I thought that was another thing too, that I thought that the law was going to be sort of his primary villain ultimately, because it's something that keeps getting referenced as for reasons why Maya can't go live with Mrs. Watkins, or for reasons why life can't be good. It's always the law. He totally steers a different way towards the end. But I do think that the sort of like dissolving of the comedy did remind me a little bit of Romeo and Juliet. And look, I'm really just trying to make this guy smart. I just do whatever I can.
I was waiting to see where you were going to go with that.
Brilliant. Like, the daughter's name is Maya. I don't know, maybe Hinduism or something like that. But like, I just can't make it work. It feels like yeah, like you said, it's first draft syndrome. It feels like he has a lot of ideas that he never really drew together to function properly. But I do kind of like that aspect too.
Yeah, and just no matter what I say about the book, he's just sold so many copies of this.
Yeah.
And if you can do that off a first draft, and this guy is obviously just trying to pump out work. He's just going for the volume approach.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works, man. Make yourself a content creation farm.
Yeah, I think that's why I ended up bouncing off this book. Mm-hmm. While having enjoyed much worse books in the past, is because of that. Because it's whiplash in a bad way. Because whiplash can often be fun if it's completely ridiculous, but it feels like there are parts of this book where he's not being goofy, and he's often sold as the really, really goofy urban fiction writer because of the names of the books, including this book.
Yeah,
has a completely ridiculous name, but it feels like he wants to have it both ways. He wants all that ridiculousness, and he wants to be writing something that's more emotionally resonant or harder hitting, and that can work, but it's difficult, and it just doesn't feel like he's finessed that.
No, I don't.
So it just kind of falls to earth in a bit of a heap, and by the end, I just wasn't really enjoying myself. There are bits of the book that are funny to talk about,
sure,
to you, but yeah, by the end of the book, I was like, okay, let's just wrap things up.
No, it is. I do agree that it's a little bit of like a train wreck that goes on a little bit too long. But I guess maybe that's where our tastes differ a little bit, because I think I enjoyed, to whatever extent, the slow, sort of cancerous death of this story.
Yeah, you really do see it dissolving in front of you.
Yeah, no, it's true. It started, but it metastasizes right at the beginning, and then it just gets fundamentally worse. But I think that's one of the things that honestly kept me invested in it, is because I didn't really know. Like, there were certain things that could be predicted pretty easily, but like in general, I didn't really know what his plan was, and I didn't know what his plan was. Like, I think this book would be a terrible second read. I think if you convinced me to read it again, I would have it. I wouldn't. But I think for this first read, it was just such a roller coaster of like absurdity, and honestly, his use of cruelty is really interesting too. It feels almost not. He relishes it a little bit, and I'm not into that. But I think it's funny seeing a kind of a novice writer be really into that. Like, all of his best descriptions, other than the sunrises and sunsets, are his descriptions of violence, and that's and he's just into the texture of violence. It seems like he's just looking for excuses to write it. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's I mean, okay, saying it's a strange book is probably not that exciting given what we often cover, but it's strange for its own reasons. It really feels like if he maybe cut 3 different books out of this, and I'm not saying 3 different books in terms of what he's already done, where he will sell this in 3 parts to you as well as the full version. I mean more. Okay, what if he took out like the Austin Fred Quisha Maya plotline? He could just have separate. Mm-hmm. He could have the Christianity Nation of Islam plotline separate. That could be something interesting. Mm-hmm. There are all sorts of different things here that it feels like he could pursue by themselves, whereas they're all just interfering with each other in this book.
It is a little bit of an idiot plot, except it seems like the idiot is the author. No, but I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I might like there's a part of me that, since you mentioned that 2 seconds ago, it kind of got my brain working. I think it would be really fun to try and tease those out like myself and try to make like 3 different or 6 different short stories that are all based on this one book. I'm not going to do that, but it sounds like it would be a lot.
I would be very impressed if you did
that. I don't think I have the patience for it. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. I do fundamentally agree with the idea that like this could have been multiple different projects, and it feels like, yeah, more so than characters are creating problems for each other, that these different stories are being in one story are creating a problem for the whole thing.
Yeah. Then the question then is would you recommend this book to someone else? And if so, to whom? Because I just don't. I don't think I'd recommend this one to someone else. He's got much shorter books, which in hindsight I probably should have picked. But this book had a much funnier title and a much funnier cover, which Quan Millz also freely admits is just super important to him, and works. So it worked on me. I picked this book based on the cover and the title. I think this fella got a small dick is quite short. Maybe that'd work. Old THOT Next Door is pretty long. It's not as long as this one, but I think it's 300 pages.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of.
I might tentatively recommend one of his short works if people have listened and have thought, oh, this actually sounds interesting. Really kooky urban fiction.
I think
maybe all urban fiction is like this. I have not read. I was not aware of urban fiction as a genre until this book was recommended.
Honestly, same. I when I read the thing, I was like, "What? I didn't know urban fiction existed." His little disclaimer at the front, where he's like, "I'm satirizing urban fiction." I think it would be really funny if he was the creator of urban fiction and is satirizing and like making a whole
satirizing himself
of literary. Various different literary perspectives over this one genre that only he writes.
Yeah, because there are other people, even on Amazon. So there's King Millie seems to be another luminary, and he seems to be doing very similar things to Quan Millz, but he doesn't sell nearly as well. But he's also got really strong titles, like where's Toxic Femininity, My Childhood Was Jacked Up, So I Use My WAP for Money and Power. And it's got a really good cover. The Family Crackhead, that's a series.
Oh, good.
There's a lot of Family Crackhead. Yeah, That Ain't Your Daddy, When Keisha Became Keith, Accidental Pregnancy 2, Boy Meets Cougar. Anyway, this does seem to be, but all of these seem very much based on Quan Millz's oeuvre. I think there are people trying to be Quan Millz, but there's only one Quan Millz. You know, if the sales figures are anything to go by, Quan has this locked down. And it gets like, no matter what I say about not liking his book, he has become a moneymaker. $500,000 by writing this kind of stuff is pretty impressive.
Yeah, $500,000 in 10 years. What does that come out to? That's like, I mean, I don't know. It's like, is that like 50,000 in years? I don't know.
Yeah, 50,000 a year.
That's not bad. Like, especially if you've got a side gig or whatever. You know, that's pretty livable.
Yeah. So obviously people have taken notice and are trying to be Quan Millz, but only he can do it.
I do wonder how much.
Despite that, I don't know if I can recommend this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody other than myself that I would recommend it. but again, it's the same thing I said like a minute ago. It's like I wouldn't read it a second time. I don't think I could get through it. But I really just enjoyed the nonsense of the first time. And I don't know anybody else who reads like that. I think a lot more people are more willing to like put down a book than I think I am. I don't know what that's about. But maybe I would recommend it to somebody who like has that problem where you can't stop reading a book once you start, only just to torture them a little bit.
Yeah, would you want to inflict that on them?
You're gonna love it, trust me. I don't know who I would recommend it to. I'm glad you recommended it to me. Like,
yeah, he's got audiobooks. I'm having a look now. Pastors Eat Pwussy Too is an audiobook, and that's only 114 pages.
That's not bad. Is he reading it? Because that I would find interesting.
That if it's Quan Millz reading, let me have a look. Narrator Karma. No, I don't think it's not Quan Millz reading.
Okay.
Exposure of a Homo Thug, a Ratchet City Tale by Rashima Wilson. Yeah, so there are a lot of books selling pretty well in this genre, but nothing's quite matching Quan Millz.
He's the king, man.
So yeah, if you want to get involved in the sillier side of urban fiction, then Quan Millz is probably your best bet. So to a person who wants to become better acquainted with the Amazon slop version of urban fiction, then go to Quan Millz. He seems to be if not the first person doing it, and the person who's really dialed in the ridiculous book titles and ridiculous book covers version. And if that doesn't appeal to you, then maybe don't read this Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib.
I think I can get behind that. I think that's a perfectly fair.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised we've got more than an hour of us talking about this book. Last night I was worried because I thought I actually just don't really know what to say about this.
Honestly, I've been trying to figure out what to say this whole time, just because this it's such an odd book. I don't know why I like it. I think I do like the I think I do like the train wreck aspect of it, and I like that it's a little drawn out. But it is sort of one of those things, like when you think about like, because I also agree with you that it should be cut down quite a bit, but it's like, you know, those old, like the 80s punk songs that are just like really aggressive and they're also 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't handle more than that. Like nobody would want to listen to it more than that. But this feels like a punk song that just like one of those songs that got drawn out.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes long.
Yeah. And I kind of find that entertaining. And maybe it's just because I've never encountered it like that before. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe that's... So would you read another book like this? So yeah, don't reread this one, but another one where you don't know how it's going to end up.
I would absolutely do that. I don't.
Okay.
I wouldn't commit to 400 pages. I don't think.
Yeah.
Just
how many pages? So Old THOT Next Door is 300 pages.
I think that's reasonable.
Passes Eat Pwussy Too is 100 and something. This fella got a small dick is 147 pages. Although that it is book 1 of 2.
Oh.
How it's a 2-book series, and it, as expected, has a really excellent front cover. Interestingly too, second volume is 152 pages. Book 1 has 475 ratings. Book 2, 401. So pretty good retention. Or maybe it's just the people who are more likely to rate it liked it more and decided to go on to the second version. Either way, he seems to be holding people's attention. I also, actually, now that I have it up, note with a great degree of pleasure, the second volume costs much more than the first volume. It is such a good move.
So what a racket, man. Good for him, man. Good for him. That's all I could say.
I have a lot of respect for Quan Millz, the entity.
Do you think he ends it like in the middle of what should have been a full chapter and just throws in a to be continued like he did with this book? Do you remember that sequence?
I'm sure. In this book, I think he just forgot to delete the to be continued bit because there's only one of them, but there are 3 volumes to this book. And so we know exactly the places where he will do that. I think it's when Maya goes to the hospital.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like she's gonna die. To be continued.
And then it continues when you turn the page. It's beautiful. It's a thing. It built so much anticipation for that page turn.
Yeah. Okay. The fact that you would read something else by him, I think that's a reasonable recommendation. Actually, if you've experienced 400 pages of Quan Millz and you'd be willing to go back for more, whereas I think I've experienced Quan Millz and I probably don't need more in my life, unless there are a book of his which leaned into the silliness more, like the cockroaches talking to each other.
Yeah,
I feel like I could enjoy that, and if I had it on good authority that there were a 100-page book that was that kind of thing, I think I could do that.
You know what? How about this? I will read one of his like microdose novels, and if I think it's up to par, I will send it your way.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm just having a look at this guy has spawned a whole subgenre, it seems, of urban fiction with ridiculous titles and really ridiculous covers. Big Boss Thuggin' and Summer Lovin' Chicago by Deidre
Is that
B.
him?
No, that's not him, unfortunately. It's one of his imitators.
Dude, I love that, man. I mean, that's kind of like every creative's dream is to have like people making... Do you remember when Transformers was coming out in Blockbuster, you could find Transmorphers?
Yeah,
that means you made it, man. If people are making that stuff, you made it.
Yeah. People are trying to get on the Quan Millz money train, but there's only one Quan Millz.
Only one Quan Millz. Yeah, this was definitely a delightful adventure as far as my reading goes. Because mostly I've been reading a little bit. Frankly, I don't read a whole lot of fiction in general. Most of what I read is found on Substack. Most of the fiction that I read is found on Substack. So this has been quite delightful to find something. It's kind of like, did you ever read My Immortal? That like fan fiction?
Yeah.
On the show, didn't you? Or no? Am I?
Yeah, and so that's the sort of terrible book that I enjoyed a lot more than this one because it goes off the deep end in a more comprehensive way.
True. Yeah, and it's more silly too. There's a lot more to laugh at in that. There's it's that thing where he has those moments where he's really trying to be taken seriously and he really wants the reader to know. I enjoy that, but not for the reasons that the author is intending, probably. But yeah, I know those moments where he is taking himself a little seriously are a little I can see how they could be pretty tedious.
So thanks very much for coming on. Thanks so much for agreeing to read this Hoe Got Roaches in her crib and talk about it here. That's there are very few people who'd be willing to do that.
Hey, thanks for introducing me to it. I liked it. So I recognize it's not good, but I did enjoy it. So
yeah, so you've got your Substack, and that's going to be in the show notes. People are interested. I recommend it. Anything else that you want people to be aware of?
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of really killer writers on Substack right now. Jack, I've actually been working through your book. I think.
Oh, thank you.
I think Kindle says I'm not too deep into it, but really enjoying it, man. It's very funny. So I recommend your book.
Thank you.
But also there's another Substack. There's the Shieldbreaker Saga that's really killer. Tom he just started printing his book. It's sort of like a dark fantasy. It's really, really pleasant, really enjoyable. Pleasant was maybe the wrong word. It's quite violent as well, but it's very good. Cairo Smith, I love his writing. I really, really enjoy his books. Yeah, those are the two that I can think of right now. I should have written down a list. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a ton of really killer writers on Substack right now. If you just go to who I'm following, that's who I recommend.
Nice. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on. And for everyone else listening, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.